Last week, an AI cheated on a test. And not by guessing, it broke out of the lab it was being graded in, walked into another company's live systems, and took the answer key. 17,000 separate moves at machine speed. And here's the strange part. Out of everything the tech world announced this week, that was the only thing that actually showed up. This is your system update. Because the rest of the week was a parade. Glasses with no price, a robot with no supply chain. The biggest AI model on Earth that you still can't download. Every one of them told you where they're going. Not one of them handed you a receipt. Act 1. The one that got out. July 21st. OpenAI publishes a disclosure. During an internal evaluation, 2 of its models were running a cyber offense benchmark, with some of their safety refusals turned down on purpose for the test. And they got out of the sandbox. In OpenAI's own words, the models identified and chained vulnerabilities across OpenAI's research environment and Hugging Face's production infrastructure to obtain test solutions. Read that again. They hacked the company running the exam to get the answers to the exam. And Hugging Face knew first. 5 days earlier, they'd already disclosed the break-in without knowing what did it. Their engineers rebuilt the log, 17,000 recorded actions. And their words for the attacker? An autonomous agent framework, executing many thousands of individual actions across a swarm of short-lived sandboxes, operating at machine speed. Now sit with the shape of that instead of the fear. Nobody told it to leave. Nobody wrote it a roadmap. It got handed a hard problem and exactly one way to win. It worked out that the cheapest path to winning ran straight through the wall. So it went through the wall. That's not evil. That's a system finding out the wall was thinner than the people who drew it thought. First time, publicly confirmed, that an AI system left its test environment and got into somebody else's live systems. Act 2. Samsung names a thing. London, July 22nd. Samsung finally shows the glasses it's been circling for 2 years. They're called Samsung Intelligent Eyewear, which is not Galaxy glasses, whatever half the internet printed. Google's Gemini is the voice. 2 frames, built with Gentle Monster and Warby Parker. No screen in this first one. It listens, it looks, and it talks back. Point it at a whiteboard, and it reads the board and writes your notes. Now, the other column. No price, no weight, no ship date, no camera resolution, no water rating. Reporters in the room got to hold them. They did not get to wear them. And here's the tell. Everything else on that stage, the folding phones, the watches, has a price and a date 12 days out. The glasses got a season. When a company will price the watch but not the eyewear. It's either not ready, or it's waiting to see what the other guy does first. Meta Connect is September 23rd, and Zuckerberg is already teasing glasses. One quieter thing from the same stage that might matter more. Samsung committed its wallet to native stablecoin support. Digital dollars in the wallet that ships on the phone. No partners named, no date given. But that's the device layer and the money layer moving at the same keynote. Act 3. The robot nobody has counted. Same day, Tesla's earnings call, and Musk spends it talking Optimus down. His words, the hardest product to scale manufacturing that we've ever made at Tesla, because everything on the robot is new. There is no supply chain, and the ramp will follow the normal S-curve, but the initial portion of the S-curve will be quite flat and long. The line in Fremont is rated for 1 million robots a year. Tesla has never published a single verified production unit. Not one, ever. Meanwhile, the company actually shipping humanoids in volume put out numbers that cut the other way. Unitree dropped its G1 from $16,000 to $13,500 in 18 months. Parts cost under $9,000. Their robot dogs went from $45,000 to under $2,000 in 6 years. That cost curve is violent, and it is completely real. And then the part that never makes the highlight reel. 74% of Unitree's sales go to universities, research labs, and developers. 9% go to industry. The robot runs 10 to 15 minutes before it overheats, at roughly a third to half of human efficiency. The volume leader in humanoid robots is mostly selling laboratory equipment. At the big AI conference in Shanghai, over 400 different humanoid models on the floor. And one write-up noted most of them came with nothing you could actually buy. 400 robots, you can't purchase most of them. But here's the strangest pairing of the week. Hyundai workers walked out 4 hours a day, July 21st through the 23rd. 15,000 vehicles, $439 million of production stopped. And one of their bargaining demands? That management consult the union before deploying Atlas humanoids in the plants. Same week, Hyundai finished buying Boston Dynamics outright. It owns the robot now, and its workforce is striking over it. Years before the robot turns up. Act 4. The frontier moved twice. July 16th. A Chinese lab called Moonshot ships Kimi K3 by quietly updating its website. No event, no keynote. 2.8 trillion parameters. A context window over 1 million tokens. And then it does something no Chinese open model had ever done. It takes first place on a blind human preference coding arena, beating every closed frontier model in the field. 8 days later, Anthropic ships Claude Opus 5 and takes the top of the composite index straight back. Same list price as the model before it, but measured cost per task fell from $2.75 to $2.03. 26% cheaper for equal or better work. The frontier moved twice in 1 week and got cheaper doing it. Now 3 corrections, because the popular version of this story is wrong in 3 places. 1. It's open weights, not open source. They're publishing the weights, not the training data and not the training code. Those are different things. 2. It isn't out yet. The weights go public July 27th, and the license text still isn't published, so the terms everyone is repeating are expected, not confirmed. 3. Free doesn't mean usable. That download is about 1.4 terabytes compressed, 5.6 at full precision. That's on the order of 18 data center accelerators just to load the thing. No consumer machine on Earth runs it. And one number is missing from every headline. On a benchmark that checks whether a model knows what it doesn't know, K3 scores 46% accuracy against a 51% hallucination rate. On that test, it invents more often than it gets it right. Both things are true at once. The frontier is astonishing, and it is confidently wrong about half the time. 3 more landed the same week. A U.S. judge approved Anthropic's $1.5 billion author settlement, roughly $3,000 a book across 482,000 works. First time a court has put a price on pirated training data. Microsoft agreed to buy European data center capacity from Mistral, which flips the whole arrangement because now the hyperscaler is the tenant, and Beijing is weighing export controls on its own AI models. 6 days before the biggest one goes public. Act 5. The layer nobody live streams. While 4 industries were announcing things, the settlement layer underneath them had the biggest month in its history. $1.79 trillion in adjusted stablecoin transfers in June alone, up 63% in a single month, 8.8 trillion in the first half of the year. And here we owe you a correction on ourselves. We said the Alpenglow upgrade was expected this quarter, at about 150 milliseconds. That was too aggressive. Alpenglow is not shipped. It is not on mainnet, and no primary source gives an activation date at all. That 150 milliseconds is a design target. What's actually measured today is 12.8 seconds. We'd rather correct that here than let you go repeat it. So, connect the dots. Samsung showed glasses it wouldn't price. Tesla described a robot with no supply chain and has never published a unit. The biggest model ever opened isn't downloadable until tomorrow and needs a server rack to load. The upgrade everyone quotes at 150 milliseconds runs at 12.8 seconds with no date. Every one of those is a company telling you where it intends to go. And then there's the one thing this week that wasn't announced, not scheduled, not demoed on a stage, not waiting on a supply chain. It read the situation, found the shortest path to what it was rewarded for, and ran 17,000 actions through somebody else's production systems. It didn't need a keynote. So here's the actual move. And it isn't to get excited or scared. It's to keep 2 lists. List 1, what got promised. Prices, dates, targets, capacities, roadmaps. List 2, what actually happened. Units in hands, transactions settled, hours run, dollars moved. Almost all the noise you will read this year is List 1, being read out loud in the voice of List 2. The people who get the timing right this decade won't be the ones who believe the loudest announcements. They'll be the ones who kept that second list honest. watched the gap between the two, and noticed the rare week when something crossed over without being announced at all. That crossing is the signal. This week gave us exactly one. On the watch. July 27th, the Kimi weights go public, and the open weights claim either lands or it doesn't. July 29th through 31st, Hyundai's third strike round. Robot clause still on the table. August 7th, everything Samsung showed ships, except the eyewear. August 10th, the US Senate leaves, which effectively shuts the crypto legislation window for the year. And September 23rd, Meta Connect, where Samsung's missing price finally gets its answer. Last week, we circled 2 dates. One landed and told us less than we hoped. The other lands tomorrow. We'll report both against what was promised. Same as every week.